page 90. It says, when is a wrestler king of the ring? So we're factoring the trinomial, and then finding our answer and writing a letter next to it in the correct box. Okay. So we're going to look at number 1 first. So we have n squared plus 6n plus 5. Okay. What you want when factoring is your numbers need to, you want to find two numbers that multiply to this number and add to that middle number. Okay. I'm going to show you a way to organize your work, or like kind of organize your thoughts about it. But as you get better at factoring, with more practice, like personally, I've factored a lot. I could just write the answer without kind of doing the organization of the work. So thus being in honors, I would expect that eventually as we practice, that we kind of get better at just kind of looking at it and seeing what the answer is. But for now, I will show you kind of how to organize that work. So what we do is you will put A times B, so whatever is first and last in the first box. So technically there's a 1 here, and 1 times 5 is 5. So for now, if you notice, everything has a 1 in front of it. I think in the next page or two, we start getting to ones that don't have a 1, that have a different coefficient in front. So it is important to remember that it's this times this. And then this goes on the bottom. Okay. So this is our multiplication, what we have to multiply to, and that's what we have to add to. Okay. So now I'm going to find my two numbers that multiply to 5 and add to 6. So I always like to start with my multiplication, think about what multiplies to 5. Well, the only things that multiply to 5 are, whoops, move that back up, are 1 and 5, right? And 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 plus 5 is 6. Okay. So these are our factors. I have n plus 1, n plus 5. And that is my answer. Now, when you're looking for your answer down here, the order doesn't matter. So this one is H, not H, W, sorry. N plus 5 times n plus 1, right? Multiplication is commutative. It can switch around. So under number 1, we'll write H. W. I can't. Not H. Okay. All right, the next one we're going to look at is number 3. Plus 12. Okay. So again, we're multiplying to 12 and adding now to -7. All right, so 1 times 12 is 12, and then -7. And this is our multiplication, and this is our addition. So now we have to be careful because we have negative numbers. So a lot of people want to try and do like we're multiplying to a 12. So I want to do like 3 and 4, but 3 plus 4 is +7. So the biggest thing to remember is a negative times a negative is also a positive. -3 times -4 is +12, and then -3 plus -4 is -7. So again, we write it as now n, since it's negative, -3 and -4. And we look for our answer, which is E, 3. The next one we're going to look at is number 5. Let's look down here. Which is n squared plus 2n minus 15. So 1 times -15 is -15. Right, that's coming from here. +2. So now to multiply to a negative number, I need one negative and one positive. So what multiplies to 15? The first two numbers that come to my mind are 5 and 3. So you kind of got to think about what's positive and what's negative. If I make the 5 negative, negative 5 and 3 is negative 2, so that doesn't work. But 5 and negative 3 is positive 2. So just make sure we're watching out for those signs. So that's n plus 5 and minus 3. And that one is h. All right, the rest are very similar to that except for the last column. So I want to go over one of those. So we're going to look at, let's look at 18. All right, the only reason these are weird is because they have two variables. It doesn't really change what you do, though. You're still going to take just the coefficients. So I'm going to multiply negative 3 by 1. Sorry, that's supposed to be 32. 32. Which is negative 32. And then I'm going to take just the coefficient. So I'm multiplying negative 32 and I'm adding to negative 14. Again, with a negative number, you need one negative and one positive. Basically, how I think about it is, when I'm thinking about my positive and negative numbers, is how far apart the numbers are. Okay? So 1 and 32 multiplies to 32, and those are 31 apart. Okay? So there's no way to get to 14. 2 and 16, that sounds like it's going to work if you think about like 2 and 16 are 14 apart. Since this is negative, the larger one needs to be negative. Now, the only thing is I need both an A and a B. So how we write it is this is A plus the B just goes with this number, right? Since it's technically B squared up here, this also has to be a B in it. And then A minus 16B. Okay? That's how we get that B squared at the end. So it's A plus 2B, A minus 16B, and that is R. So number 18 is R. All right, and that is it for that one. Go ahead and work on the rest of page 90. All right, looking at page 91, this is very similar to what we were doing. However, we are now doing numbers. We are now doing ones that have a coefficient in front. It's not just 1 anymore. Okay, so let's look at number 1. So we start the same way. Our multiplication is 3 times 2. And then we have 7 down here. Okay. Then this part is exactly the same, right? We want to multiply to 6 and add to 7. The numbers I find are 6 and 1. Okay. The last step, and we call this method divide and slide. Okay. Since we multiplied by 3, we now need to do divide by 3. Okay. So I'm going to divide both of my numbers by 3. If it reduces, great. If it doesn't, we slide it out. And I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. So this doesn't reduce, it stays as a fraction, so we're going to slide that 3 out. So what we get here is, this is x, so this one is just x plus 2. This 3 got split out, and it goes in front of the x. Okay, so this 1/3 becomes 3x plus 1. So now I'm going to look for these two. I see, okay, these are red. 3x plus 1 is here for number 8, and x plus 2 is here for w. So on number 8, we are going to put w. All right, let's do another one. Let's do number 4. I have 7x squared minus 9x plus 2. So again, we multiply. So we have 7 times 2 is 14. We want to get to negative 9. So 7 and 2 multiply to 14, but I want to add to negative 9, so they both have to be negative. Now we need to do our dividing by this number, right? This one simplifies. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. Negative 2/7 does not, so it's going to slide out in front. So we have x minus 1, then 7x minus 2. All right, last one we're going to look at is number 8. 9u squared minus 9u plus 2. So we have 9 times 2 is 18. We want to add to negative 9. Okay. The two numbers, right, multiply to 18 and have something to do with 9 are 6 and 3. You need to be negative, so negative 6 and negative 3. Then we need to divide by 9. Right. Both of these reduce. Negative 6/9 gives me negative 2/3. Negative 3/9 gives me negative 1/3. So both of these though will slide out. So this one will be 3x minus 2, u minus 2. And this one sliding out will be 3u minus 1. 3u minus 2, 3u minus 1. So at number 14, we're going to put the letter y. Okay, go ahead, work on the rest of page 91.